really comfortable with. Like, you're probably never going to see me on American Idol or The Voice or something like that trying to be a pop star.
Yeah. I guess it's like a balance of things, you know, and what you're comfortable with. Because the argument, I guess, that I'll make can be also interpreted as, well, you know, if people want to write songs for radio stations, they should, which is fine. But I think what happened here in Australia, especially with a radio station that is funded by the taxpayer, that kind of dictates who gets played and where and when. When you had some bands who, you know, just because they're that desperate, trying to switch their sound, and also the other controversy with it was, you know, some artists who felt discriminated against, whether they be those who, from a gender perspective, also from age perspective, that have felt that they've been, you know, their first album may have been spun on the radio, but the rest, then they've just kind of been let go because it doesn't fit the youthful side of things. So, yeah, that's just a little taste of some of the things that have been going on down here from that perspective, because we're a relatively large country, but very far away, but a very small market and population. You know, we've only got, what is it now, probably about 22 million people here, and not many radio stations on the FM dial. So,
Well, it's interesting to seeing an established musician, like, change their sound as well to fit in better. Like, it doesn't always happen, of course, even with just the independent musicians that we're more familiar with. There's a group that I was following for a little while. It's a husband and wife duo. I believe they're husband and wife. Let me double check my facts here. No, I guess they're not husband and wife, but anyway, they're a duo. It's Ms. Mr. MSMR, and their first album, which I really liked, was this kind of low key, electronic, kind of shoegazy, kind of fuzzy thing that was, you know, interesting. It had kind of like a retro 80s feel to it. It got a little bit of popularity. And then with their second album, which is the one that they're promoting a lot now, they went in a really heavy pop direction, and they had this huge, like, dancing pop stage show, and they changed how they dress, and they changed, like, everything about them. And they've gone on these tours that have been really successful, and I can see that it would be successful with the change that they made, but I'm kind of disappointed because the new music, it doesn't strike me as much as the earlier music did. It's not as unique sounding. It's more conforming. And I mean, I'm glad that they're successful. I mean, they deserve it, but it's just kind of disappointing to not be in a direction that I'd kind of hoped they were going to go, and to be more, in my personal opinion, a little bit lesser than it could be. But I mean, I don't want to talk badly about their particular form of art either. I mean, they're obviously working very hard at doing what they like, but it just seems like they made too much of a compromise to me, and you see that sometimes, and it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
And going from my direction, I mean, I was trying to get my podcast out there in New Jersey, and I was really rushing, really trying to get out there. And all of a sudden, that podcast out there changed its format, so my show doesn't fit anymore. So I feel you guys. Really, I do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very tough. It's very tough to break it anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're a musician or a podcast. It's really, really hard. But the thing is, you guys, that we all just keep going and don't give up until we actually make that headway.
I guess it also means what individuals or bands and artists are actually, what their objectives are, and what makes them feel like that they are a success or not. I mean, I feel that I'm just lucky enough to be in a position where I can actually just play and write and it doesn't necessarily pay the bills or anything, but you've got to. I think we're lucky enough to be there to do it, and I think some people set themselves up for disappointment when they feel that I've got to be in that in the top 40. I've got to do this and be in the mainstream and all that. And I think some musicians feel that. And I've noticed, like, when you talk about shows like The Voice and American and Australian Idol, you see artists who have been around for a while but haven't necessarily made it in their world, who go and have a chance, feel like they need to have a chance and do these TV shows, and then a lot of them, are kind of brought in and spat out again, and they realise that these shows are built around really about the judges and other things other than the actual artist. So I think having an objective of what you feel success is, for me, has been important. Otherwise, I'd go nuts.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I have a nephew who is a rap artist, and he has it in his head that he's going to be a big star once he figures out what he wants to do with his musician. And we're all telling him, no, it's not going to be that way at all. You need to come listen to my show. And so that way you can understand what steps is going to happen. And I know for a fact, because he's my nephew, he's part of me, he is going to be crushed when he doesn't make that top 40 right away. And so, I just want him to be prepared for a letdown. But also, I don't want to encourage him to not keep going.
Yeah, especially the way that the rap world right now, the hip-hop world in general, it's saturated with artists, because a few artists came out that made it look really easy, and then that convinced a whole generation of kids that it was easy, even though it really wasn't. It was luck more than anything else. And so there's this whole generation of young people who, I'm sure they can all, rap decently. I'm not going to say that they can't, because I don't know all of them, obviously. But they think that they're going to stand out when a lot of these big hip-hop artists have some sort of a gimmick involved that kind of helps. It's not just that they spit this stuff. It's that they have something else going along with it that help them get that oomph to get to where they need to be. And it's not easy to make something that stands you out from that crowd. Like I said, it's saturated with people, like, all trying to break into that same genre right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, totally agree.
Well, that's very true. And I like rap. I love listening to it. And what some of these artists, like, I think a lot of kids feel that there's, because they can just rap, there's a shortcut to success, because they feel that these other rappers have come through very quickly. But when you look at all their stories, these rappers, they've come from a really difficult road and have had to be very smart about what they do. A lot of them talk about doing drugs and doing this and doing that, but at the end of the day, they're very smart people behind the scenes pushing. I mean, I don't. A lot of people don't like Kanye West. I actually like him. I went and saw him play here in Australia last year. I think he was here, and it was an amazing show. And when you take away all the noise in the mainstream media about him and Kim Kardashian and all the stuff that's in the tabloids, you go to a show that's sold out. Got 20,000 people there, and he can put on a show that just absolutely blows everyone away. That's why he's that's why he's there.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, me personally with him, I have no opinion, because I know he's trying to do as best as he can, and sometimes it just doesn't pan out, and people just want to pick him prod on whatever it is they want to pick him prod. I mean, musicians are trying to do what they got to do, and here you are picking on them. So you know what? I just like,
yeah, true.
It's not my thing. So like, okay, whatever. And and going to what's that young kid's name? God, I can't think of his name. is going to come back to me later. Justin Bieber?
Oh yeah, Justin Bieber. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I mean I know he's he's young and he's punk and all that stuff, but the thing is he's doing the exact same thing, and it just irks me that they're all picking on him. Yes, I know he kind of does it to himself, but it's still, I don't know if he's actually doing it for attention or if he's doing this to get his fan base going. It's just like, why would you want to go that extreme? But yet he's noticing and his music's playing. So I don't know. Maybe that's a way to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the thing about people like Kanye. Of course, it's you see sometimes he'll do these like crazy, just bizarre things in the media, like that when he interrupted the award for Taylor Swift at, what was it, the Academy Awards or the Grammys or something. He did that, and then he made that statement about how rap artists are the new rock and roll gods and stuff. And
yeah.
I really think that he's probably a very smart guy in this kind of stuff, and a lot of this stuff is probably things that he's kind of rehearsing in his head, and he's probably thinking, okay, I want to make some headlines, I want to draw some attention, because I want people to notice me.
Yeah,
and when people do, well, yeah, I mean, a lot of it was negative, but negative publicity is still publicity.
Yeah.
And so, a generation of people who might not have listened to him otherwise might be like, okay, well, this guy looks like he's being a jerk, but I'm going to listen to his music and find out if he really is a jerk. And then maybe they start liking his music. Maybe he's not a jerk after all. It's very calculated, very businesslike. And a lot of people just see it as him being just crazy and eccentric, and maybe some of it is. I mean, who knows? I don't know him personally. I mean, he might be just a crazy and eccentric guy, and that's fine. I mean, a lot of people are. But it's very, very successful for him, which is the big difference. That's kind of his thing. That's what sets him apart. I mean, his stage shows I've always heard are really fantastic as far as that goes. And it's, like I said, it's just something that sets him apart from the rest of the crowd. And you're going to remember him for something that he's done regardless. And whether you can name one of his songs or not, you know who he is. And that's stuck in your brain. And sooner or later, you might go listen to something or buy something of his. And then he's got you. And that's how that kind of stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And it's built around people like him, it's built around, particularly some of his older stuff, really good music. And I think, well, depending on what's your taste, that is. But, at the end of the day, in 30 years, 40 years' time, a lot of these controversies might be remembered, but what's left behind is the music. And I think that carries itself, as well as some of the other acts that are out there that are that big, Right. So you're right. He's very strategic, very smart, I think. So, yeah.
All right, so we got to take a little small break, but before we do, I want to play one of your songs. Okay.
Cool.
I got the numbers 904. Tell us about that song.
This song's 904 was named after, we were in Toronto to play Indie Week a couple of years ago, and it's the name of the apartment hotel. The song's about the love of music and why we play it. So I wrote that song after we came back from Toronto. And there was a lot of fun going on in that apartment, a lot of drinking and stuff. So
can't go wrong with that.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, so here, guys, it's 9:04, and after that, we'll take a small break, and we'll be back with more with King George. Don't go away.
Here we are like angels dancing here with the horns in their heads. They tell us you can do as you wish. Feel like gods, feel like trash. I don't know if I got the answer now, but every day is a lesson learned to live this life as I can. No